Hey y'all, August can be one of the toughest times of the year to catch crappie consistent, especially if you live in the South. And I just wanted to go over a few things today with you that actually help me catch more fish and stay on fish, to be able to consistently catch them. Just a couple little key things that you might look for wherever you fish at to kind of help you catch more. First thing is that a lot of times people think because it's hot that the fish are going to be deeper. Well, that's not necessarily the case, because deeper water has less oxygen than the shallower water. So typically in the South where I live, the fish start to migrate at the end of July and they start to move into shallower water. Now that could be 10, 12 foot of water, something like that. That's typically what they do here, and that's how I find them here. Is I start looking at in creeks, in the mouths of creeks that have some timber, maybe some isolated stumps, maybe some rock, something like that. And I look for bait fish. Bait fish is key. So what I tend to do is I'll move up into the area and I'll use my side imaging and help me find the bait fish. And if you hadn't seen a video that I've done about that already, I'll leave it down on one of these sides here. The next thing I'll tell you is that, August is also a time to downsize. The shad are small, the ones that hatched out, those shad spawns that we had May and June, now they're up to about 3/4 to an inch long. And so going with a smaller bait that actually mimics the shad that they're feeding on will also help you get more bites. And I use a little gray jig in clear water. It's gray and black in clear water. If I'm in some off-color water, I tend to like a white body with a chartreuse tail, or a chartreuse body with a white tail. Sometimes I'll use one that's chartreuse with a pink tail, and that just is so that they can actually find it a little better, in the off-colored water. You need a really limber tip rod, because they will barely suck on it. And if you guys got live scope, you've seen that, where they'll come up there and look at it, and maybe they'll nip at it and then just turn away and go down to the bottom, or turn away and just go away from the bait. They didn't want it. Another thing that comes to mind is that when you're fishing in that shallower water, since I've got a live scope for the last couple of years, I've noticed that crappie don't tend to suspend much once it gets above or below 10 feet. Sometimes I'll see them in 12 foot of water. They may be a foot or two off the bottom, but it seems like if they're 10 foot or less, they're holding snug down to the bottom. And that could be hard for you to find them on your regular 2D sonar. So what I'll do is I'll get in an area that I see a lot of bait fish, and especially now if it's some clearer water, like most of Lake Fork is pretty clear unless we get up on the northern end, and it kind of gets a little stained. But if I'm fishing in the clearer water, I like to cast that jig out and let it go to the bottom, and then I'll reel it a couple turns and let it fall back down to the bottom. And I'll just do that. I'll fan cast around. I'll be watching my sonar, my 2D. You can do it with just 2D. You don't necessarily have to have live scope. Now it's a lot easier since I have live scope, because I can scan around with my live scope and I can adjust my forward range out to 50 foot or something like that, and I can make long cast, and cover the water a lot more thoroughly. I'll do that until I actually find the fish. I'll do those types of retrieves. Now if I'm in off-colored water, if I move up the lake, I'll use those brighter colors that I mentioned, and I can typically get up on top of them a little bit better and fish vertically in the water column. Just let it down, and now what I'll do is I'll get it right up off the bottom and just hold it as still as I can. I don't give it a whole lot of movement. We're in the boat, and the boat is moving, and so there's really no way for you to keep that jig still. So if you move it, sometimes it can be way too much movement, especially in August when it's real tough. I also see it happen in the winter months when it's really extremely cold. The less movement, the better. I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm gonna try to catch a few and show you just how I do it and what I'm exactly talking about. Sometimes if they're real aggressive, they may hit it before it hits the bottom, but 9 times out of 10 this time of year, they won't do that. You'll have to kind of just swim it through them a little. There's one. Look at that. My first cast out in there, and I got one. Look at there. Yeah, see? First cast. And I want to tell you something that's really interesting. So I came into this area a couple nights ago, and I set the green lights up. I got a couple green lights, me and a buddy, and we sat here for like 5 hours in the middle of this creek and could not catch any crappie. It was the craziest thing, but here they are. They'll bite in a day. Doesn't make any sense, but that's what happened. So, oh, I got him. Not very big. Oh boy, another fish tried to eat him on the way up. I bet it was a bass had a hold of him. A little bitty guy. Isn't he cute? You don't necessarily need brush. You don't have to have brush piles. You don't have to have stumps. Obviously those will help sometimes, but I have found that they may leave the brush occasionally. These right here, oh, I missed another one. These right here aren't relating to any kind of brush. They're relating to the bottom. All I did was I came in here, I used my side imaging, I found the shad, threw my live scope over, scanned out there a little bit and saw them, and so I'm making casts. You don't necessarily have to have a live scope. Like I said, you can just use your 2D sonar. I did it for years. You know, yeah, it makes it easier, but that's not necessary. And what you'll find is there'll be several little schools of them in various areas in the mouths of these creeks like this. And you see how thick the shad get on the 2D. Here I think I found another mess of them right here. Yep, look at here. Not a little bad little back crappie. Uh-oh. Little black one. Look at all the fish down there. Can you tell how many's in that little area right there? They're just stacked up on the bottom. There's no brush or anything in there. I'm going to hit my spot lock right here. Going to fall down in them. I'm going to watch my line as it's going down. Sometimes they'll run up there and bump it before it even gets down into them. Oh, there's one right there. Just a slow swimming retrieve. Oh, that's a good, nice keeper right there. Good white one. Mixed in with the black ones down there. Look how far he ate it down in there. See, they're aggressive when they get it like that. A lot of times those you catch out in the suspended water may not be that aggressive. One or two of them may bite and they all may leave. But these that are up in this shallower water, you can catch several out of one group. There he is. It's just cast after cast after cast. Another good keeper. He may be short of being a keeper. I can tell you, I've had a lot of days where I'd rather be catching throwbacks and a keeper here and there than not catching any at all. And when I find a school like this, what I'll do, there's another good one. Boy, it's just cast after cast as fast as you can get it in there. Now that's a good keeper. Oh, he come loose. What I'll do is when I find a little place like this, even though it's just a drop off, something a little different, they like it. So I'll go ahead and mark a spot like this, and I'm liable to mark 15, 20 places within a cove like this that has schools like this around it. And it makes it really easy just to go around and go from school to school to school. One of them quits, oh, golly, I missed him. One of them quits biting, you just go to the next one. Oh, one got it before it got down to the bottom. I reached over to click my waypoint. Another little black crappie. If you want to learn more about how I use side imaging to find these crappie, check out this video right here.